welcome to another edition of Neighborhood Training. We move on through Falmouth, kind of focusing in on a lot of different neighborhoods in town. We will this week be working on the Greengate and Highfield neighborhood. And just from looking at this perspective here, we do see significantly parts of Falmouth that really do characterize a particular neighborhood. In this case here, it's clear that we have this beautiful preserved area here of BB Woods, which will be forever a preserved open woodland area, and that is really a gem when you look at the fact that this downtown area over here is all built up, and in this area here will stay woods for a long time, which is pretty cool. A lot of things have changed, even the past 5 years, 10 years, and talking 50 years ago, and things in Falmouth changed significantly, and they can't be brought back. But here's a situation that stay predominantly the same. But this is Greengate, and then Highfield, and of course BB Woods that we've talked about before. But within, see if we can focus in here a little bit, just to give us a little perspective on this is pretty characteristic. If you were to see a map of this neighborhood out here without even seeing the road network or the street names, you should be able to recognize this as Greengate. Just the way the road is laid out. So anyway, and we're also going to focus in on Highfield Drive in that area, because it is all basically in one area. I mean, there's a lot of pathways behind these houses that connect to BB Woods and all around. And we also know it's adjacent to Peterson Farm and so forth. The actual map here is the town website map. I want to zoom in quickly here because I want to point out a few interesting things, because this shows the actual network of the water system in this area. Okay, here's where we want to be, right here. Okay, so here we are on Woods Hole Road, and there's two main entrances into the Greengate development. There's Greengate Road and also Kettle Hole Road. Okay, those are the main entrances. Now off of Greengate, you come up to the end up here, and you come to Greengate Apartments, which, as you can see, is quite a few building complexes. Each we'll see as we go through the pictures of there, but each building is 2.5 stories, sometimes 3 stories if it's built into kind of embankment. I'd say that each there are about 6 to 10 apartments in each building, and it's labeled A through F buildings. They all have the Greengate Apartments has a master box on them. Each building has a strobe light on it to show us which building is in alarm. And then each building has a main entranceway right off of this main area here, but it also has rear entrances. There's two means of egress from each apartments anyway. There's a main hallway and down. They're all wood frame buildings, non-sprinklered, predominantly older folks are living in there. I don't believe there's really any families that live in there, but there's a lot of older folks. These buildings are older. They were built in the 60s. I hope we don't have any issues with them in the future, but these are obviously would be a target hazard for us. We're talking multifamily, and the potential to have quite a lot of fire loss there. And the other issue that has always been a concern is, you can see here. Here is the hydrant. This is the nearest hydrant to Greengate. A lot of developments you'll see, whether it's Falmouth Academy, the hospital, or even some of the newer complexes that are out there, there's hydrants all over the place. This here is not the case. This is the hydrant here, and unless you had if you had a report of an actual fire in there, you would have to grab this, and you'd lay about 600 to 800 feet in order to get in here. If we did not have a report of a fire, if we just went in there for the box and then we found the fire, we are the second due engine, then obviously the scenario is 21 would go there on a box. You go in there and you investigate, you drive into the complex in here, and you discover that there's some sort of fire. We get a call in there. Now we subsequently have to call for a second engine to come, which is going to take 4 to 6 minutes before the second engine comes, and they have to grab this hydrant and lay in. So that's just something we have to keep in mind. We may have to, obviously we want to put in our tack lines into place pretty quickly, but on the other hand, you may want to just backtrack real quick and grab that hydrant and lay in. I'm not saying that may be the best scenario, but depending on our circumstances, it may dictate our attack pattern anyway. So we have Greengate and Greengate Road, and then we have two ponds. You have Kettle Hole, and Kettle Hole goes right through to Two Ponds Road. Okay, so, and then you have, I want to back out here a little bit here, get a better perspective. Here we go. Okay, so there's Two Ponds Road and Riddle Hill. Okay, now it's not that complicated of a development. However, there are a few complicating factors in there that can serve to mess us up. So we have Two Ponds in Riddle Hill. We have Kettle Hole can run through to both, and then we have Stonewall that can run through to both. Stonewall does not have, according to this map, does not have any water line through onto it, so they must come off of the this line here. No big deal. This is really these two hydrants are pretty close together, so we don't have too much of a problem. The problem is this: is right in here we have Riddle Hill Apartments. Now, we said the Greengate Apartments are on a master box. The Riddle Hill Apartments are not on the master box because at the time that they set it up, we did not have the 100 mil wiring well into this development here. We had it out on Woods Hole Road. They just tapped it into Greengate, and bang, they're in. So this was allowed to be a telephone alarm. Less amount of buildings, but still you're talking three buildings, and to the rear of them they're all built into an embankment. So the rear of them, they're all 3 stories to the rear, 2.5 in the front, and once again it's mostly elderly residents, and we get it on the telephone alarm and not a master box, which is going to be a delay in our notification. It's a little bit longer of a drive, but this is the only way to get to the Riddle Hill Apartments. You either come in Kettle Hole and take a left on Riddle Hill. If you come in Greengate and you get on Two Ponds, don't go past Stonewall. If you make that mistake, you come across the Stonewall and go over. Because if you get up into here and you keep going on Two Ponds Road, most maps will show you can loop around, but you cannot loop around. So that's something you don't want to get messed up on. The other issue is right here. Once again, we have the hydrant. It's approximately 600 feet away from the apartments themselves. So we're going to drive up, see a situation, and there our hydrant is back up here. Okay, so it's Two Ponds, comes around. Okay, these are the Two Ponds. About Two Ponds Road. There are the Two Ponds right up in there. Okay. Now these are all single-family wood frame houses. They're all, say, 2,500 square feet. They're not excessively large. They're not I don't think there's any house in there that's 10,000 square feet, and I don't think there's anyone in there that's probably 1,000 square feet. So that's the characteristic of Cape Gambrels, colonials. As you can see just from this map, you look at the driveways, you can see that almost every single one of these houses is centered on the middle or the rear of the lot, so they have long driveways. And if you drive in this neighborhood, you'll see well-kept houses, but you'll see they are not visible from the road. Almost all of them have mature shrubbery and so forth from their road, so you can't visually see that. What does that mean for us? It means we may not be able to see signs of of a fire as we're approaching the house, and our access problems are going to be much more difficult. If we're talking about parking an engine out at the street, you may have to definitely have to pull a 200-footer to get to the front door, but you may have to pull a water thief to get into there. You may actually have to pull the engine down the driveway. You may actually leave the driveway open for the ladder. Those are the situations that you're going to have to make a decision of right on that particular circumstance. So you need to be thinking of that. All right? Okay. Now, we'll move quickly to one other aspect of this area that I want to point out. Obviously the bike path runs through this area here, but I also want to point out this Marine Operations Facility right in here, which is the USGS, not the United States Coast Guard, but the United States Geological Survey. Has a Marine Operations Facility back there. It is a non-combustible building. It's one of those metal-clad buildings back there. It has a box on it, and so we need to be aware of that. The other thing I wanted to show while we're here is that this particular building of the Greengate complex has a driveway that comes off of the Marine Operations Facility, and there's cars parked in the back, and the lower floor apartments are at their doors to the apartments on the bottom level are right here. Yes, you can access them through the front door here and go down the stairs, but as far as a fire situation or perhaps even a rescue, keep in mind that for this particular building here, you can get to the rear of it. The other thing I wanted to point out in this Greengate Apartments is this up over here is a caretaker's building that has a garage under. There's a residence, but it's for basically the people that mow the lawn, take care of the facility. The other unique aspect of this complex and the Riddle Hill is that they have garages here for the tenants. So they're not close to a building or anything, but if there were a car fire while it was inside one of these garages, you can have, obviously a little bit more extensive situation than it's only a car fire. While we're here, we will talk about going up Highfield, which I'm sure everybody's aware of. We're just going to talk about a few of the lesser known aspects of Highfield. Obviously, Falmouth Academy has its main, which is looped, its water main is looped over to the hospital, so it does help out with a looped main with their pressure. Have the sports center, you have the curling rink. Right in here there was a 6-unit condo complex right here. There's a single family residence here. On this particular map that says Cape Cod Conservatory, that's not the case. You take the first right here, and these buildings up in here are the Comcast building. You have the Comcast antenna, the Comcast operations facility. You have one abandoned 1800s building up in there. You also have a single family 1800s building up in here that is occupied. So you have a commercial building there, you have kind of an abandoned, fallen apart building, and you have an occupied building up here in the Comcast facility area. And then you have Highfield Hall, Highfield Theater, and the Cape Cod Conservatory. And then right up in here we have another kind of an abandoned single family building there. We have a photograph of. And the other thing to be concerned of, we do have a lot of hydrants up here. Highfield Hall has a sprinkler system connected to it. The problem we have here is we have elevation issues that exist up at the hill, which causes problems with the water pressure at the top up here. As you can see, there's a topography map, but it's a little hard to read here, but you're talking approximately 60 or 70 feet higher than down at the main level of Falmouth. It doesn't sound like much, but it does. Trying to get the exact thing. Anyway, it's probably about 100 feet anyway. But anyway, that just shows you the topography of that area and the issues that would bring about on that. I think this is going to show us the same thing. Good. All right. We will go directly now to the pick up the photographs here. And we had talked about the Marine Operations Facility. Right there we go, right there. There's the Marine Operations Facility. That's the entrance to the facility right there. And they do have a sign. It's 11 Woods Hole Road, I believe. There's a sign more out towards Woods Hole Road. This is actually when you get in the building. And the reason I wanted to point this out is we do have a Knox box for the gate. So that is the Marine Operations Facility from that perspective. And this is the Marine Operations Facility in a little bit more of a close-up. So this is the building here, and we won't be able to zoom in too much here, but we'll see how much we can get here. Let it focus in a second. And there we see our box in our remote annunciator. We can also see inside there's a large storage area, and we also have an office entrance here to this building. Okay, just to become familiar with that. It's not something that we drive by every day and we see. It's just one of those places that is there that we should be aware of. Okay. Now, Let's go to, okay. Okay, let's go to, we'll talk about Greengate, the Greengate Apartments. This is a typical building here. This is the first building on the left as you come in. You can see, I'm sure many of you have been up there for rescues and so forth, but each building does have a letter on it. And as we can see from here, there's our strobe for building C up there. Now, I was not able to get any exact information about how many apartments are in here. But I would guess, and from the times that I've been in there, I'd probably say there's at least 6 apartments in this building, and then some of the other ones perhaps even 10. The front door is a main stairway going up and down and then breaking off to apartments, you know, to the right and left on both sides. And as you can see here, there are other entrances to there. Let's see, let's go to the box, which I'm sure we've been to before. This is on the first building on the right as you come in. The box is kind of stuck in behind some bushes and trees, and the alarm panel is in this building as well. Buildings seem to be pretty well taken care of, however, perhaps not, looking at the rears of them, perhaps not quite as fantastic as we might think. This is just showing one of the garages that are in the building here. Some of them are enclosed, some of them are open. They do have storage and a little storage locker in there too. But the other, you can't see it too well in this shot here, but as we do have a three-story apartment here, and I believe these doors here, I believe, go into an apartment, but I believe there's another door further down along this wall that goes into a common stairway up and down. So hopefully we won't have a fire in these complexes here, but if we do, we need to be a little bit aware of that. Okay, we'll move along here. Give me, I want another one here. Okay, give me this one here. We'll talk about this one here. Okay, this is just a typical colonial. Like I say, about 2,000, maybe a little bit more square feet within Greengate. You can see it's set back off the road, trees in the front. That's pretty typical, pretty, you know, typical for that neighborhood. And then once again, just about the same scenario. Colonial, garage, 2-car garage. And we should be able, when people mention Greengate to us, this is what should come up to mind, is the 2 apartment complexes and these types of houses that are in there. And now we will go to the Riddle Hill Apartments. This is the one of the 3 buildings that are in there. Now, these do not have strobes, they do not have boxes, they're not lettered, they seem to have individual addresses, like I think one building is 75, one building is 80, but they're built primarily the same. They're built by the same builder and built primarily the same. Common stairway in the center, apartments, probably about 6 apartments that are laid out, probably 6,000 to 8,000 square foot wood frame building, 2.5 story on one side. I believe this is going to show, yep, I just wanted to show this perspective here to the rears of the buildings. So this may be a place here where we want to position the ladder to the rear of the building instead of the front of the building, if we have access in the back. If we do a good circle check of the building, and an officer should be able to determine the best place to put the ladder. And if we're not able to do that, then it's a place where we may have to put a lot of ground ladders in the back. There's not much of an issue of fire transmission from one building to another because they are far enough apart. However, it's just within the same building that we want to be concerned about. There we go. And these are all apartments on the bottom. The sun was shining on here, so it's hard to get a good picture, but these are all separate apartments on the bottom level, and then there's each level that goes up. All right, that about wraps that up. We're just going to do a quick review of the Greengate and Highfield neighborhoods. There we go. All right, bring in a little tighter shot here. Okay, so Greengate, Highfield neighborhoods. Greengate is the whole neighborhood is about 100 wood frame single-family dwellings, Gambrels, Ranches, Capes, Colonials. There are 2 of the multi-unit apartment buildings, wood frame. The Highfield, conjure up in our head, bang, right away. What do we have in Highfield? We have the Falmouth Academy, we have the Sports Center, we have the curling rink, we have the 6-unit condos up there. We have a couple of single families. We have Highfield Hall, we have the theater, and you have the conservatory, and you have the Comcast complex in there. Hydrants, elevation issues up at the top. I'm talking about Highfield. These are the roads we have: Greengate, Kettle Hole, Riddle Hill, Stonewall, and then we're on to Highfield. Okay, hazards. Well, primarily single family. Okay, we have the marine operations facility, the wood frame multi apartment buildings. We have the commercial type buildings in Highfield, 1800s wood frame theater in Highfield, the Highfield renovated Highfield Hall. You also have a daycare in the conservatory. You have condos in the Cablevision. Greengate, the Greengate apartments. Bang, right off the bat, you should know it's 100 mailbox, mostly older people. There's a caretaker's cottage. There are garages there. There's that hydrant right 600 to 800 feet away from the building, not actually in the complex. And when we think about the difference between that and Riddle Hill, saying Riddle Hill is a telephone alarm, we should be able to knock that off. The occupants are the same. Older, the long distance from the hydrant, 3 stories in the rear. They're approximately the same type of building. Highfield Road itself, we should be able to really, on the top of our head, describe it. Very narrow road going up. So if there's a big fire up there, or a fire while there's in one of the public occupancy buildings like the theater and the hall or the sports centers, there's going to be a lot of people leaving with their cars while we're trying to get up there. That's been a problem in the past. Older buildings, balloon frame buildings in the Comcast area there. If you get a chance to drive up in there, there are a couple of abandoned buildings up in there. We also have in the Comcast, and there's also one near the Highfield Hall. Just when you turn to the right, there's a new parking area in there. Response is pretty typical. This is to a address in the middle of Greengate Road. As these travel distances, just to give us an idea, 1.6 miles to the middle of Greengate, not that far away. Station 2, only about a little mile further away, so they're probably, if they're 4 minutes to get up there, 6. Station 4, 4.5 miles, you're talking probably 8 minutes to get into there. And then 5 and 3 are 10 minutes plus to get into there. So basically, the first engine in, you should be looking at getting a second engine in a couple minutes later, and then the third engine after that a couple minutes after that. So it should happen pretty quickly. All right, that about wraps up this week's breakout of the Greengate and Highfield neighborhoods. And until we meet again, Stay safe and eat healthy.